You're crouched in a shallow grave 34,000 years ago. Except you don't know it's a grave yet. You just know it's cold, and the limestone dust is getting into your throat with every breath. Two bodies lie head to head, a boy and a girl, barely into their teens, dusted in red ochre so thick it looks like they're still bleeding. Someone has spent an estimated 10,000 hours carving more than 10,000 ivory beads to lay across their bones. Someone stayed up at night by firelight, threading beads onto sinew for people who could no longer feel the weight of them. That's not a burial. That's a love letter with no one left to read it. So did they love each other the way you do? Butterflies, obsession, the 2 a.m. text you regret sending? The obvious answer is no. That's a modern invention. Love is a Hallmark card. But here's the flip. The chemistry that makes you stupid over someone wasn't invented by us. It's older than language, older than agriculture, older than the word love itself. What if the feeling came millions of years before we had a name for it? Here's what nobody tells you. Romantic love isn't a cultural product. It's a hijacked survival system, and it may be one of the oldest pieces of software running in the human brain. Anthropologists now argue that the specific cocktail of obsession, craving, and attachment we call falling in love evolved not for romance, but for logistics, to keep two exhausted parents from walking away from a helpless infant. And the evidence for this is genuinely unsettling, because it means your worst heartbreak and your best relationship are both running on code built for something else entirely. Start with the bodies. The Sungir site, near Vladimir, Russia, excavated between 1955 and 1969 by Otto Bader, contains one of the richest Upper Paleolithic burials ever found. Two adolescents, laid head to head, covered in roughly 10,000 painstakingly carved mammoth ivory beads, with spears made from straightened mammoth tusks laid beside them. Radiocarbon dating puts this at approximately 34,000 years old, meaning this ritual predates the pyramids by over 30,000 years. Not just impressive, genuinely strange, because the sheer labor cost of those beads suggests the community wasn't just disposing of bodies. They were making a statement about who these two people were to somebody. Then there's Shanidar Cave in northern Iraq, first excavated by Ralph Selecki in the 1950s and revisited by a Cambridge-led team under paleoanthropologist Emma Pomeroy starting in 2014. Selecki controversially proposed that Neanderthal remains, specifically the individual known as Shanidar, IV, were buried with flowers, based on unusual pollen clusters found in the soil. Decades of debate followed about whether that pollen came from burrowing rodents rather than mourners. But the more recent excavations at Shanidar have confirmed something harder to dispute. Deliberate, repeated burial of Neanderthals in the same location over generations, care taken with body position, evidence of individuals who survived severe injuries only because someone fed and protected them for years. That's not instinct, that's commitment. So if bonding this deep existed before modern humans even arrived in the region, where did it come from, and how far back does it actually go? The conventional story is that romantic love is a fairly recent invention, something that shows up in medieval troubadour poetry, gets mass-produced by Hollywood, and didn't really exist for most of human history, when marriage was a business transaction and nothing more, except the biology doesn't quite work that way. Anthropologist Helen Fisher at Rutgers University spent decades using fMRI scans on people who'd just fallen in love and found something remarkable. The brain regions lighting up weren't the ones associated with warm, fuzzy emotion. They were the same regions activated by cocaine addiction. The ventral tegmental area, part of the brain's ancient dopamine reward circuit. Fisher's hypothesis is that romantic love, sexual desire, and long-term attachment are three separate, evolutionarily distinct brain systems that just happen to overlap in humans, and that the falling in love system specifically evolved to focus a person's mating energy on one partner long enough to raise a child that can't yet hold its own head up. It's a strange kind of comedy. When you think about it, you assume your love life is the most personal, unrepeatable thing about you. And it turns out, you're running the same neurochemical script as a rat pressing a lever for another hit. If that's true, then love isn't something civilization invented to dress up biology. Civilization is something biology invented to manage love. The clearest evidence for this comes from an unlikely place: voles. Neuroscientist Larry Young at Emory University studied two nearly identical rodent species: prairie voles, which form lifelong monogamous pairs, and meadow voles, which don't pair bond at all. The difference isn't intelligence or culture. It's receptor density for two hormones, oxytocin and vasopressin. Prairie voles have more receptors for these chemicals in the brain's reward centers, meaning bonding with a mate literally feels good to them, chemically in a way it doesn't for their meadow vole cousins. Humans release oxytocin during touch, sex, and eye contact, and vasopressin is linked to protective, guarding behavior in a partnered relationship, jealousy included. Anthropologist Owen Lovejoy went further, proposing in a widely cited 1981 science paper that pair bonding may have driven bipedalism itself. Males freed their hands to carry food back to a single partner and offspring, rather than competing physically for access to many mates. Let that sink in. You may be walking upright right now, because millions of years ago a hominin decided it was worth carrying dinner home to one specific person instead of fighting for all of them. And this isn't a one culture, one species story. Among the Mangaya people of the Cook Islands, anthropologists recorded elaborate courtship songs used specifically to win a single preferred partner, not just any partner. In medieval Japan, the practice of yobai, nighttime visiting between committed but unmarried lovers, describes emotional exclusivity centuries before Western romantic literature existed. And it's not just us. Gibbons, wolves, and albatrosses all form pair bonds that outlast a single mating season, with albatross couples performing the same synchronized courtship dance together for decades. The pattern keeps surfacing in species with almost nothing else in common with us, which suggests exclusive attachment isn't a human quirk. It's a solution that evolution keeps arriving at independently, over and over. So here's the uncomfortable part. If love is a survival mechanism dressed up as a feeling, what happens when the mechanism outlives its original job? You no longer need a partner to help you outrun a predator or split the labor of finding food. And yet the ache is still there, fully loaded, firing the same ancient circuitry over a text message that says, "Seen," with no reply. Modern life has kept the hardware and deleted the original purpose. Dating apps now let you sample thousands of potential bonds in the time it once took to walk to the next village. And the reward circuitry built for one long, committed choice is instead getting pulled in 100 directions at once. It's a strange kind of inheritance. Our ancestors built this system to keep two people together long enough to raise a child neither of them could raise alone. And we've inherited all of the craving with almost none of the original constraints. The honest answer is, we don't fully know what a Sungir teenager felt lying next to their partner by firelight, and we probably never will. You can radiocarbon date a bead, but you can't carbon date a feeling. But next time your stomach drops when a specific name lights up your phone, you're not experiencing something invented by pop songs or Pinterest boards. You're running a 4-million-year-old survival program, dressed up in a t-shirt on a Tuesday. Maybe that's the whole joke of being human. We walked upright, built cities, split the atom, and we're still, underneath it all, just very sophisticated voles who learned how to write poetry about it.